So, as mentioned before, exciting times right now. We have the traditional way of how we manage money, and now due to new technologies, there are new competitors entering the market, and not only the big ones, such as Google, Facebook, or Amazon, and we still don't know how exactly they are going to roll out their plans in the German market, but also smaller startups that now have the access to incredible computing power and new technologies that are now possible, such as Bitcoin, and nobody really knows where this whole game is going. And I think this is a pretty exciting time, and therefore I can't wait to discuss this here with you today. So we have the startups and the fintechs on the one side, and then we have the traditional banking houses such as Deutsche Bank on the other side. And now it seems like that Deutsche Bank, as one of the biggest players, seem pretty well adapting this new change with their new digital strategy that they just announced, and the new app that came out this week. And of course, spending more than 750 million euros into digitization is a profound amount of money. And what they are going to spend it for and what this strategy and their roadmap looks like, we are now going to hear it from the Chief Digital Officer from Deutsche Bank, Dr. Markus Pertelwieser.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to be here, to stand in front of all of you, and to have the opportunity to speak about our way to agility or our digital roadmap. To do this in a meaningful way, let me share with you briefly what's my perspective on how digitalization will impact the entire industry, how influential it will be for our overall strategy, as the strategy and the roadmap for sure heavily influences our way to agility. Recent McKinsey research says that the changes to come over the next 10 years are less visible than the financial crisis. However, the impact will be much more fundamental on the industry, on the business models, and on the profitability, and I totally share this view. As it's not about digitalization of the banks, it's about the banking in a digital world. Many of you probably know all these old discussions about the strategy from product focus to client centricity and so on. And by the way, the strategy is about to be executed in my eyes by the customers. They are in the driver's seat. And I think this is really a very big difference. And many banks often speak about multi-channel. I personally do not like multi-channel at all, because channel seems that the banks decide what is the channel of the customers. I think this is totally nonsense. It's all about omni-access, as the customer chooses his access to the bank. And this is really a fundamental mindset shift we currently see. And all our customers expect from us anywhere, anytime. And this triggers at Deutsche Bank a big overhaul of the overall business model, of the overall operating model. And this is why we said that we want to invest up to 750 million, because we believe that's now about transforming our business, being ready for the digital world. And if you are leading in banking, and if you want to be leading in digital banking, you must be leading in digital, because otherwise you are losing ground. And our aspiration is to create the future of digital banking. So when we started our journey 18 months ago, we had lots of discussion about what is digitalization, and I like to compare it with soccer in Germany. Like on soccer, everybody has an opinion. It's like in business on digitalization, everybody knows what is digital. And therefore, I think it was very important just to come up with a couple of key beliefs that underline the overall strategy. 3 of them you can see on the left-hand side. The first is exciting customers and being relevant every day is of utmost importance. And that's a huge change for a bank. Why do we believe that this is true? The reason is customer journeys change dramatically, and therefore the importance of information, of communication, and of services is so important. Or let's say it that way, if you're not relevant every day, you got very soon irrelevant in a digital world, and therefore it's so important not only to focus on the products, but especially on customer interaction. The second point, also a very fundamental one, all the profitability will go from the product provider to the distributors, to the aggregators. This is a phenomenon you can see across businesses, as all the very successful business models have one thing in common. This is this strategic asset of the customer interaction. This holds true for aggregators, for platforms, but I believe it's also true for vertically integrated player like Deutsche Bank, and that's the reason why this is also core to our strategy. And the third point, also a very fundamental one, in order to grow the business, in order to sustain profitable, we have to do two things in parallel. First of all, we have to digitally transform our core business. It's not about the great app, it's about the core business, because the core business will, regardless how successful we'll be in digital, 60 to 80% of the profitability will come out of the classical business in 3 to 5 years. And this we need to fund these 750 million of investments. But, and I think this is also new, we need to invest in a portfolio of strategic growth options, because this is fundamental in order to gain first mover advantage. And only companies who have the first mover advantage will be able to gain market shares. And I personally believe that digitalization will lead to a concentration of market shares, and therefore it's so important to be quick. When we started the journey 18 months ago, it was not the budget, not the money that was the scarce resources. It was the digital capabilities. Banks, and so Deutsche Bank, together with Postbank, focused heavily on back-end systems, on back-end technology. Unfortunately, to win in digital, you know that better than I do, it's all about front-end, it's about customer experience. So we had to spend some time, the first 12, 18 months of our journey, to solely focus on customer experience, on building up relevant kind of services. For example, the old app, the personal finance management tool, the new Apple Watch, alerts, notifications, the first robo-advisor, just to mention a couple of that. Now we are in the position that we have these digital capabilities, and for sure we need much more of them, but now we start transforming our core business and building up the so-called ecosystem. We very much believe in ecosystems, as they provide on the one hand side significant advantages for our customers, superior services, and on the other hand it's very attractive to be an eco-service provider with regards to growth, with regards to profitability. To build such a kind of ecosystem, I think there are two key factors of success. On the one hand side, these are the digital assets, and on the other hand side, you really need strong partners. Digital assets, in my perspective, this is for sure the brand, this is customer access, customer traffic, the customer base, and it's the digital platform itself. Partners, from my point of view, these are technology partners, also other banks, companies from different sectors, and especially fintechs. And if you bring this together, and that is our strategy, that was the roadmap we have outlined last week to the press, this is how we believe that we can build up this kind of digital ecosystem. One of the elements, this is the new app. This was launched on Tuesday. Michael Koch and his team will present it later on here on the conference. This will be AP technology based, and this is very good for us because together with our partners we can launch every 4 to 8 weeks new services, and this is also new for a bank. For you probably this is totally familiar, but here also we had to invest, we had to learn how to be quick, how to be agile. And one of the first services that we built together with the guys from D-Swiss is the new eSafe, where customers will be able to store their invoice scans, to upload documents, to store confidential data, or even ask their utility companies or their insurance company to directly send the documents into the digital safe at Deutsche Bank. Another topic, in my eyes, by far the most strategic one, is the multi-bank aggregation. This we are doing together with Andre Bajorat and his guys from Figo. We have done customer research, and the customer told us we are really interested to have a service to see all the financials in one app on one view. Therefore, we are investing in the multi-bank aggregation, and what is also very interesting, that most of the customers said they have 3, 4, 5 accounts, different services. We will aggregate only once. So this is the reason why I believe you have to be extremely fast, and you really can get a significant competitive advantage if you provide this kind of service to the customers. To best meet the needs of our customers, we will open up the product portfolio to third-party product providers. For example, together with Tim Sievers and the guys from Deposit Solution, we will grant our customers access to very attractive deposit products, not only from Deutsche Bank, but from all the other European banks. And I think this is also part of an ecosystem. If you're an ecosystem provider, there must be an open product platform. And I think then it's getting really nice if you combine all these kind of tools with the robo-advice, with the digital advisory, just to be able to provide your customer regularly, daily advice, how he can optimize his financials and even go beyond banking. One question I got very often asked is, what about your branches? What about your advisors? I personally believe digital is online plus offline. I personally believe digitalization will not eliminate personal advisory. It's a contrast. It will complement it. It will even help to enhance the quality of the advice in the branches. For example, all the robo-advisor technology we developed together with Insight. In the first step, it will be provided on the web page for our customers, for the self-directed customers. In the next step, the technology will go to the branches and will be leveraged there within all the advisory talks. And I think this is a very good example how these two worlds will fit together. For sure, at the end, it's only the customer who will decide which service he wants to use in which kind of channel at what time of time. And to build up this ecosystem, in my eyes, it's of utmost importance to have the right partners. You can see a couple of them on the charts. We are really proud of to working with all these guys together. But for sure, we are looking for further partners, and I think this should be a perfect opportunity to exchange each other's. And I often got asked, what about equity? My answer on that one is, if we do a cooperation, equity is also an option to come together. So I'm looking forward to have many discussions with you after my presentation. From an industry perspective, I think banks have to do the following. They have to build up a systematic research and development. If you're going to pharmaceuticals, to chemicals, to automotive, all these guys are familiar with research and development. If you look into their balance sheet or into their P&L, you see a line that is called research and development. I personally believe this is a shortcoming of the banking industry, because there's no such systematic research and development. The automotive guys think about self-driving cars. The engineering sector is discussing 3D print, or not only discussing, they're already implementing it. And the key question is, what is the disruptive technology in banking? Is it blockchain? Is it the API, the bank as a service? Is it cognitive? There are different views. My personal is an industry like the private, the wealth, and the commercial banking business that I'm in. This is mainly based on cognitive tasks. Therefore, I believe that cognitive analytics will be the disruptive technology for our part. Am I sure? No, not at all. So what we are doing, we're doing pilots on these kind of technologies. We have opened up 3 labs all over the world, one of them in San Francisco, in the Silicon Valley, together with our partners. Here it's IBM, where cognitive analytics is one of the core topics. We have a lab here in Berlin, we have one in London, and more will to come. So this is the core of our research department. In order to develop all the topics I've presented, to develop the entire roadmap, we believe that we need something like a digital factory. That was the reason why we will open up that at the end of June. This will be the first step. More than 400 IT engineers, designers, UX experts from the firm, externals, also from fintechs, will come together in order to build there the digital banking of Deutsche Bank. And these are not the only 2 components. There will be much more. On October this year, we will run an external episode here in order to get new ideas. And for example, together with Bastian Unterberg and his guys from Yovoto, we are doing things like the CrowdStorm. For me, a really impressive experience I made over the last couple of weeks. We asked customers, non-customers all over the world, what do you expect from premium advisory in the future? And it was really interesting because customer came up with artificial intelligence, with community, with peer-to-peer. And this was so insightful that we decided last week now to start a couple of more CrowdStorms to even deep dive on these kind of topics, because we believe the best source of innovation, these are our customers. And to have it a bit more formal, the Q110 located here in Berlin, this will be totally refurbished, not only refurbished, reconstructed. This phase will start in a couple of days. It will reopen at the end of the year, and this will be the co-creation area of Deutsche Bank here in Frankfurt. I think Oliver Leise is also on stage later on, so he will have spent a couple of minutes on that one. So let's conclude. I think the research and development is not only important to come to the next level of agility, it also spurs agility throughout the entire organization. And this is actually a very tough job now to get a complete organization to agility, because it's not only that the IT should be agile, It's also that the business, and especially all the control functions you have in a big bank like Deutsche Bank, legal, risk, compliance, all these guys must be part of this new kind of digital banking era. And therefore, we will all bring them together with the clear aspiration to design the future of banking, to create an ecosystem like I have presented. Therefore, we'll invest 750 million, not all in 2016. This will be about 200. This was only, I think, a short glimpse on the way we have done so far. We know this is only a very short part of what have to come. I'm really looking in the future because I think there are great opportunities from digitalization for the banking industry, for all of us. So I believe we can succeed together with our partners, for our customers. I say thank you very much for your attention, and I wish all of us a great conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Markus. So is the Deutsche Bank now becoming a startup?
No, I think we should never try to become a startup because I think startups has very specific strengths. We have our strengths, and so we want to become much more agile. We want to collaborate, but I think digitalization is also about strengthening our strengths. And this is the customer base, that's the customer interaction, it's the brand, it's also the products and the digital assets. And I think we will focus on that one. And it's so important to collaborate. So therefore, we will not become a fintech or a startup.
Where do you see the biggest challenges in this whole transformation?
I think one big challenge for sure is to be ahead of what is on the technology side, because the innovation cycles get faster and faster, and so it's really tough to stay ahead of the curve there. I think second is the industry frontiers will blur, so no competitors will come. You have mentioned a couple of them in your opening speech. So the question is, when banking is not only done by banks, what can banks do beyond banking? I think we have great assets. We haven't answered this question yet because we had to focus on a couple of different topics. So I think it's extremely important to have a focus on that one. And third, I think you just need to be fast and you must really understand what your customers are asking for, because as mentioned, I believe that market shares will be focused, will be concentrated, and therefore it's so important, and I think it was never that important in banking to be really the market leader, the first mover. So these are the three main challenges from my point of view.
You were mentioning cognitive analytics and artificial intelligence as one technology that might help you to come up with new services. Do you see any implications already where this could help you?
Yes, I mean, you already can apply artificial intelligence in terms of asset allocation, robo-advice. You could also apply it for fraud detection in the firm. But I think you should always start with the USP of the bank. What is your core strengths? And so we want to do some pilots on how can we apply cognitive analytics in order to support our advisors, to prepare their advisory talks, even to support them throughout the talks. And this is in the beginning, but if you look to other industries, for example, if you go to the US, there are cognitive analytics like cancer diagnostics. They are actually really, really good. And I think what is true for topics like that one should be possible in banking.
One last question regarding another phenomena, the phenomena of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin.
Yes.
For you as the CDO of such a huge bank,
yes.
What do you think about Bitcoin, and what do you think, how is this going to change financial industry?
I think if you go to the blockchain technology that underlies the Bitcoin, I think this is the big topic for my colleagues in the investment banking and the transaction banking, because here I think blockchain is much more relevant than the cognitive part. So there are different parts of the bank with different foci. I personally believe in the business I'm in, that the blockchain and the Bitcoin is not of the utmost importance. There are other topics. But here the same holds true as for the cognitives. We are doing pilots. We are trying it out. Maybe it's not the Bitcoin, but it's a blockchain that helps us to be much more efficient. Maybe in the mortgage business, in the payment business. We do not know yet, but I can tell you it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you very much, Dr. Markus Perdelwieser.
Thank you.
Thank you.